Art Scholars. So today we're going to do some slightly quicker sketches, and they're quite experimental. They don't always look like what they should. Because we're going to do four. The first one is going to be your non-drawing hand sketch. So I'm right-handed, so mine will be left. We're then going to go on to a drawing where you can't look at the paper as you draw it. Then we'll go on to using two pencils at one time, and we'll finish off with a continuous line drawing. Now, all of these are quite unusual, but they give some good effect, and they really help you to observe and sometimes to slow down a bit. I will show you each technique, and I'll show you some examples. We're going to keep working with equipment, so I've picked out things like a Pritt stick, a rubber or a pencil sharpener, or an interesting pen. So you're going to want things that have details, but make sure, again, they are art equipment, because this is a bit of a mini project on studying artist materials, basically. I hope you enjoy. Don't worry if it goes wrong. This does. This is part of this kind of a method, and I'll show you the techniques. Right, so I've got my four pieces of equipment. I think I'm going to start off with the rubber today, and I'm going to do this with my non-drawing hand. So this is my normal drawing hand. I'm just going to swap over, and I'm going to use my left. Now, the aim of this is to try and draw it the best you can. If you can try not to rub out, that would be really good too, because it's more about studying and showing a different way of drawing, basically. It's not supposed to be perfect. I will try and time lapse this so you can see how mine's got on, and just have fun, don't worry. So here is the finished piece of work. It does look like the rubber, but again, it's got less control, which is part of the aim of doing different techniques. I have just put down here left-handed, so I don't forget how I did it. And you also might have noticed that I have divided my A4 page into two, so I'm working on A5. These don't have to be massive pieces of work. They can be, but because they're kind of studies and experimental, you can make them smaller. So feel free to work on A5. I'm going to put two on a page, and then I'll go on do my other two on another page, if that makes sense. Getting my work ready for my not looking drawing, or my non-looking drawing. I'm going to go work on the black pen, and I've turned my page upside down just so you can see a bit better. It doesn't really matter which way you work, because we'll cut these out for our portfolio in the future. So what you need to do is, if you can see here, I'm just covering up the pen now, I have got a piece of paper. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw with my right hand and hold this piece of paper in my left, blocking my view of the paper. So I won't be able to show you a time lapse of this because I need to use both my hands, but the aim is to basically cover up the paper like that, but still be able to see the pen. And you're just going to look at the pen and try and draw on the paper what you see. Basically draw underneath the paper you're holding onto the drawing paper, so you can just see how you do with observation without basically your eyes to help. Your eyes are guiding you, that only your hand is drawing, your eyes aren't drawing. And let's see what the result is. Again, I've put in not looking, so I know how I did the technique. I've used pen for this because, well, it's quite nice to show a range of materials when you're doing your sketches, but also I can't rub it out because I can't see it, so it made perfect sense to use a pen. You can see the pen details here, so if we go from there, so we've got the pen top there, that didn't do too bad on that at all actually, but then my pen lower section was out of place, but again I got the shape, which is great. And then I've got the pen hook, I don't know what you call that, but the pen, yeah, this pen clip here, not near at all, but I got the shape. And then I've got all my lettering here, which actually looks quite good, even though it's coming away from the pen, but I did quite well with the lettering. So if you put all the pieces back in the right places, it does make a pen. And you'll probably find the same thing, that you'll get the key shapes, but it'll be the details that get misplaced or get moved around. So again, embrace the fact it's going to be different, but just do your best not to look at it. I know it's really hard, but you just got to build that confidence that it's going to look as it's going to look, and it's going to be different. We've got two techniques left. and I've got my new page divided into two. You can see my work under here with my other work ready. The last two are using two pencils and creating like a mirrored effect. So you work with both hands and they reflect each other. And then the other one is a continuous line, which basically means that you can't take your pen or pencil off the paper. So when you're doing the mirrored one, try and pick something that's similar and has a bit of mirroring or is a similar shape on either side. So I'm going to work with the Pritt stick for the mirrored one, and then I'm going to do the continuous line with the pencil sharpener. The two pencil one, I'm going to use two colours of pencil so you can see the difference between the two sides, which I think is quite effective. And this time I'm going to work portrait because the Pritt stick will fit better in that size of paper. Again, I'm using both hands. I'm afraid I can't video it, but I will show you at the end. I like to call this one mirrored because you mirror each side. So if I just talk you through it, you can see that my right hand is my dominant hand and that has neater detail than my left. I drew all the shapes together, so I had both my hands drawing the shapes and copying each other. When I got onto the details, I did use my left hand and then my right hand rather than both together because the details were different. But if you can get the shapes together, you can see obviously there's less control here on my left, but that's part of that's why we do it, to show the contrast of the line making. I have to say this is quite effective. I did do one thing which really annoyed me at the end. I made the Pritt stick go a bit high and then thought that the blue bit here, which is that bit there, was on the lid. And it wasn't, it was actually just below the lid. So my lid was looking good and then I put the band of blue in it. But again, with experimentational drawing, this happens. So if you do the same thing, like me, be a bit cross at yourself, but don't worry. We're going to now finish on the continuous line. I'm going to use the pencil sharpener. I'm going to enlarge this slightly so it fills the page more. And I'm going to use pen. Again, it's a bit different, but because it's continuous, I shouldn't be rubbing out because I can't take my pen off the paper. So I might as well use pen because it will give me a stronger line and a different line. Annoyingly, I thought I videoed it in time lapse, but it didn't work, so I apologise for that. So I just want to talk through a few things. So I started off here in this section, and you can see as I've done the dots on the pencil sharpener, I've continued the line, so I haven't separated out anything, and it's almost like a dot to dot where you can follow everything. So I did the dots and the shapes. I then came down and did this curve here, and then went around again and did that curve there. And then I went around again and did that curve. I then came back. Oh no, I didn't actually. Then I stopped there, as you can see, because there's that line that goes up. And I did the writing and the stars. I then came back and I added in some quick shade to the darker areas to show the contrast of the pencil sharpener. So if you stop for this for whatever reason, just make sure you remember where you stopped and you can just put your pen back down or your pencil and continue. Again, this will be a more accurate one, but it will be styled, shall we say, because it continues and each line has to connect, otherwise it's not the method. I hope you enjoy doing the continuous line, the mirrored, the left-handed and the not looking, so now upside down. If you have time or you want to, you can repeat these. You can blend, you could do like two colours together, you could try overlapping things, you could try colouring things in, but the aim is experimental drawing. So whatever you do, don't make it look like it's a perfect drawing. Basically, it should be you just trying things out and trying new things to show you're studying and to show you're being creative. Please send me an email if you want me to feedback. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing this when we get back to school.